joining me for the first time, hi, my name is Yoon Kim. I will be doing a live Monday through Friday every single day, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. for the 3 p.m. Pacific for those of you who are on the West Coast. My goal is to help you understand how to hit your first $100,000 within your time in the military. These lives are for your benefit. You can either come, hang out, work, and hang out with me, or ask questions for a Q&A session. So for those of you who are watching the replay, feel free to skip around. Throughout the week, I will take snippets of good questions that was asked within this live and post it separately, so you're not going to miss out on anything. So if you have any questions, right, leave it in the comment section down below. I will answer every single question or comments that you leave me. So without further delay, let's hang out. So we'll wait for people to start rolling in. So like I said, if I look down at my screen, like I said, you can use this session as like a work in YouTube. For those of you who use Zoom, right, you can do a work in Zoom where people just kind of hang out, work while they're in the a company of another person or people, I guess. That's kind of what this is, right? So as I am doing this live, right, I am working at the same time. I have a business that I run, and that's mainly what I'll be doing at the same time. I'm working on some YouTube stuff as well.
Looking for royalty-free music? Check out Epidemic Sound. Find your perfect track.
Caleb, what's up? Welcome to the Hangout. Currently, I am stationed in Patuxent River, Maryland, in a place called Naval Aviation, Patuxent River. It's a pretty quiet area. I like it. Nothing too crazy. Luckily, I was able to choose where I, got stationed. So I purposely chose a very relaxing location for me to kind of finish out my contract, because I got 3 more years left. Well, now 2 more years left. So this is where I will be finishing out my contract. Traveling dude, Martin, what's up, dude? Um, how's the newer house situation been going? Do you like it better than the house apartment room you had? Any differences? Of course, right? So for those of you who don't know, for right about 6 years, actually, yeah, for 6 years, um, I've been living, in my definition of humble. Right? So my definition of humble of how I lived the last 6 years was I joined the Navy, first year living in the barracks, um, as an E1, E2, E3, right? People sometimes like room with each other. They'll rent an apartment because they don't want to live in a barracks. Depending on the barracks facility, some are great, some are not that great. The one I had in Norfolk, Huntington Hall, wasn't the best one. And so some people just like chose to live outside of the barracks, but I chose to save money, right? Live humbly, bum on Wi-Fi. It took like 6 hours to upload like a 5-minute video on YouTube, right? That's kind of how I got started. And then got to live on the ship in the Newport shipyard. Most people don't really know what that lifestyle actually looks like. Living in the shipyard is very, very difficult. It's a very demoralizing situation. But I was able to kind of push through it. Sometimes I would go over to my friend's house, sleep on the floor. So that was a pretty good situation. And then, right, deployment, live on the ship full time. And then afterwards, right after I finished my time on the ship for 5 years, I moved to Maryland here where I am. And then I rented a room for $750 with utility and everything included. It was a 100 square foot room. The only thing that I had space for was my desk and an air mattress. And I lived like that until I hit my $200,000 mark. And then I upgraded into a queen mattress, a legitimate mattress. And then my girlfriend will be, living with me sometime in the near future. So as a preparation in advance, right, I moved to a house, government housing. They are taking away a good portion of my money, but it's kind of worth it, right? Oh, clients are messaging me. And yeah, so my current living situation is it's the best it's ever been. It's a huge upgrade. It may think like people, this is like the normal way people live. Like for me, it's like living in luxury. It's like a mansion for me. So super happy for that. And yeah, I mean, any differences? Yeah, there's so much differences. Like right, like this room that I'm in is like much bigger than the amount of space that I've been living in for the last 6 years. Right, I have like 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms and living room, my own kitchen, dining room and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm super grateful. Caleb, so is doing a full 20 something you think you could do, or would you be willing to do? Yeah, I mean, I definitely I could. Um, is it something that I personally want to do? No, because there's no aspect about the military other than the only reason I would want to stay in the military 20 years is purely for the pride factor of having a military career. Now, hopefully I can hit, chief if I stay in that long. Hitting that chief's mess, getting out with the pride of a chief is kind of the only desirable goal. But financially, I'm good on my own, right? I make more money outside the military. Like right now, right, the military pays me well, right? Right about $5,000 each month. In my business, right, depending on the month, like in a good month, I could make $9,000. Right? All right. I don't know what that internet issue was about, but we are back. So yeah, I mean, financially, I'm not incentivized to stay by any means because it doesn't make sense for me to financially stay in the military any longer because I can make more money outside of the military. If I was able to run my business full time, like no problem, I could make 10 grand each month consistently. Probably like I can scale it up to like 15 grand, 20 grand a month in the future. But yeah, so financially, being in the military actually sets me back from me being able to potentially, go, super hardcore full time on my business. But yeah, so financially, I'll be set, right? And the biggest thing for me is family. At the end of the day, like I would rather be with my family making a lot of money than not being with my family and not making a lot of money along the way. So yeah, for me, right, the military was a just a stepping stone, and that's what it's going to stay as a stepping stone. Curious George, welcome back. I feel like I've seen you before. Your name definitely rings a bell before, not just because it's the generic Curious George, but I feel like I've seen somebody with Curious George before. Um, what are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson? I don't know who that is. Is that like a military YouTuber? Let's look him up. Deshaun Watson. You know, I'm not much of a football person, so I can't say that I'm not the best person to ask this question. What makes living in the shipyard difficult? So whenever you talk to people who says right they've lived through a shipyard or they've gone through shipyard period, it's so every ship goes through some type of shipyard period, right? Every single ship, right? I mean, but right, the level of shipyard period is the biggest thing, right? Think about it like this: like imagine a huge construction zone, right, made for ships, right, and homeless people, crime, sex offenders living in that area, right? Newport News, um, and that's kind of where you live, right? Like there's random people. I mean, it's hard for me to describe because at that moment I wasn't allowed to film anything. Being in the shipyards, um, but I had to live in a shipyard for about 2 years. So imagine just living in a construction zone, right? Like that's it. Like outside, if you walk around, like people are going to be asking you for money, pedophiles, etc. Like all living in the streets, homeless people. It's rampant. It's not a very good, safe area. Just imagine just living in that area, living in that environment for months to years, right? Compared to what some people might think as a shipyard is, towards the end of my career, after I did my deployment, right, I went to California and we had a shipyard period then, right, where the ship was going to go under like a minor construction, placing the floors, repainting the walls, doing something like that, while being in California, while being in Coronado Island, right, where the environment in California, I mean, it's a great environment, right? I mean, I didn't mind at all, right, being in the shipyards during that time in California, compared to being in the shipyards in a like it's. Let me actually try to find it. Newport News. Let's see if I can YouTube this. Newport News shipbuilding. I'm gonna just try to like find some type of image. Yeah, so if you literally just Google Newport News shipbuilding, um, and then you just look at the images, like, like that's it. Like that's where you're going to be living. It's not a very good place to like live and spend out some time. That's what people don't really understand. So yeah, Caleb, just imagine living in a construction zone for years compared to living in a construction zone in like California. I mean, I'd rather much be in California than in, Bad News, Virginia, which is what it's usually called. Do you have any roommates in the Navy? how no. Does BAH pay for most of it, even though you have to pay towards it, I presume? So basically, how my housing situation works is so government housing, they're not allowed to charge you more than your dependent age, right? So I'm a single sailor, right? But they're not allowed to charge you more than your dependent BAH. So my current BAH, I think it's like 1560 or something like that. And dependent BAH, so if I was married, right, it's like 1750 or something like that. So that's what they are charging me here, depending on the house. For some reason, the pricing is a little bit different. So what's happening right now is I have to pay right about $200 out of pocket to live here. So my BAH covers, most of it, but $200 has to come out of my pocket, which is a lot different compared to what I was doing before, living in a room, renting it out, only paying about $750 a month, and then pocketing, the other $750. So a lot less money coming my way, but it is what it is. When you say the Navy pays you about $5,000 a month, which is more than what the average working U.S. civilian makes in a year, are you including all compensations such as basic pay, BAH, BAS, etc.? Yep. Base pay, I think it's at $3,000. Actually, let me look. I'll post a link here. Navy pay. So that is the Navy pay, right? And I just hit over 6. If you start scrolling down, 2021 active duty enlisted basic military pay chart. E5 all the way across over 6, which is where I am now. That's what they're going to pay me moving forward, because my 6-year mark was in June 2021. So $3,187 before taxes, right? It's where it's going to be at. After taxes, I mean, it's like considered tax for about 25%. So they're going to take a quarter out. And then BAS, it's right about $350. And then obviously I'm not going to see my BAH anymore, and I'm actually going to be paying a bit more out of pocket. So yeah, that's what makes up about $5,000. So BAH 1,500, BAS are about $350 in my base pay. So that's what makes it right about $5,000. But obviously with taxes, I'm only going to be at the end of the month, income money coming my way is going to be maybe about 2.5. So yeah. Let's see. Anne, good evening. What would you say that this contract is the happiest you've been since your time in the Navy? Does it get better the longer you're in? I wouldn't necessarily say it's the happiest I've been. I mean, no matter where you go, like it's as the Navy's motto is, right? It's forged by the sea. Like there's growth opportunities everywhere. The more difficult it is, right, the more I can grow as a person. I don't mind the hardships, the difficult life of being in the Navy. The only thing that I really care about at the end of the day is how much time I have to devote towards investing in the stock market, doing the research process, growing my business, and creating YouTube content like this. And so in the beginning, my first 5 years, right, it was work heavy, military heavy. A lot less time devoted into other aspects, but I made the best out of it. But now it's kind of shifting to the other way. So in some ways, I am enjoying it now. This is kind of the tapering off period. But not all shore commands are like that, right? Like I could have been given a very difficult short command, right? Like if I just decide to become a RDC and pushing and going through boot camp and helping new recruits go through that boot camp process, like I will be working 100 hours a week for the Navy if I was there, right? That's short command. Compared to here, I purposely chose to come here where it's very relaxing, very easy, very simple. Um, so yeah. And to answer your last question, does it get better the longer you're staying? It depends on what definition of better is, right? Like if I wanted to pursue the Navy as a career, coming into Maryland where I am now is not the place to be, right? If I wanted to continue pursuing like the military career, I would have been more of like a recruiter. I would have been like a RDC. I would have tried to get some type of special position working for special forces, or more closer to the government like the White House, or something like NATO. It's something that I could have done, but yeah, it's not, to me, it's not something that I wanted to do. Um, so yeah, when you get out of the Navy, do you think you'll initially live with your parents for a while to get situated until you move out? Um, Ideally, I want to live as dirt poor as I possibly can, because to get to my first $1 million, right, it takes that kind of lifestyle to be humble, to live like a dirt poor person. But obviously, I'm gonna be with my girlfriend. It's like for me, it's okay, but for my girlfriend, obviously, it's not something that she would ideally want to do. Um, so I might just, depending on where I go, right, during that time, like financially, let's say I get to $500,000, I might, reallocate, 100 grand, 200 grand, and buy another piece of property, just as like a horizontal diversification of my net worth, and just live there, and that'd be fine too. How likely is it to be stationed in Japan, and how can you make your chances better? So it depends on your job. I mean, do you know what rate you're going in with? Um, so if you know your rate, right, list it in the comment section. But in the beginning, right, like you don't really have a choice. Like if you're very lucky, you might be given a choice, but just kind of assume that you're not going to be given a choice. Most likely, you're not going to be given a choice, right? You're just going to be, you're going to go where the Navy kind of needs you. And for the most part, right, it's a lot cheaper for the Navy to keep you within the United States. There are people, right, for the first time, they get stationed in Japan, right, whether it be for shore command, whether it be for a sea command. If the ship that you are stationed at is in Japan, right? For example, like let's say the aircraft carrier Truman, Harry S. Truman. You are going to be in Japan, right? Because that's where Harry S. Truman is a lot of the times. So it's possible that if you get stationed there by luck, by chance, that you are going to have a good time there. But for the most part, just expect that you're not going to get there. The only way you can actually make your chances better is getting some type of rate that's that kind of allows that kind of opportunity, right? Some rates are a lot better than others. So yeah. So but the really, if you want to go to Japan, it's got to be the second time around. So at first, let's say you go to your sea command at a ship somewhere in Hawaii or in the United States, and then afterwards, right, 4 years or 5 years later, then you get to choose your shore command. And putting in for Japan, but like I said, it depends on the rate, depends on the job. That's when you would really focus on trying to get to Japan, but even then, it's not even guaranteed. Do you think between the 5K a month, the Navy compensation, the sales job, and the other income, you're probably making more than most officer enlisted and the rest of the military? Of course, for sure. Like I said, at one point, like my best month was back in March, I think. I made right about 16 or 17 grand. I forgot exactly. It's either one of those two. I think round up it was 17 grand. That's like a let me put it, to make 17 grand in a month, right? You got to be, the top of the line admiral, over 16 years in, to make that kind of money. Now, the main difference is, right, my income is not consistent, but the admiral's income is consistent, obviously. But the amount of hours put into actually making that happen, is probably the same, or yeah, it's probably the same, because I work right about 100 hours a week, and as an admiral, I imagine you would have to work right about 100 hours a week as well. But for sure, like right now, I am making more than the typical enlisted E5 sailor, um, and yeah, I would make a lot more than some of the officers that are just like brand new, right? Like 102, um, 03, for sure. Yeah, I'm looking at the pay chart now. Yeah. Um, Caleb, got it. I hear lots of military members leave the Navy and the military broke and in lots of debt. Have you found that to be true yourself? For me, no, of course not. I mean, financially, I'm set. Like, there's so much opportunities in front of me because the way I positioned myself, that literally I'm not worried at all about lack of opportunities after I get out in the military. Um, because if I think about it in the best case and the worst case situation, right? Best case or worst case scenario, right? If I got out of the military right now, worst case scenario, I don't have a job, but I get to go to school for free, right? The military, the GI Bill covers everything. And at the same time, each month for 36 months, the military is going to give me, the school that I'm looking into, $2,000 a month for BAH, right? Basic allowance for housing. So free money, right? Tax free. I could live with my parents in my house, and I could pocket that 2 grand, right? So 36 months, that's 72 grand. So that's the worst case situation. If I don't have a job, I can still go to school and pocket all that money. Best case situation scenario, right? I have my business, right? Maybe I can grow it into a 10 grand income, business in the future, go to school at the same time, pocket that 72. Continue on with my YouTube, grow it to 100K, maybe within, next couple of years, maybe I can get to a 500,000 subscribers. And then, yeah, I mean, I probably just continue focusing on and building out my business. And with my investing in the next couple of years, I really want to hit, 500,000. And then, within 10 years, I want to hit, 1 or 2 mils, depending on exactly what my knowledge level is at and how long it's going to take there. But yeah, that's kind of the best case scenario. So I'm not at all. Just like I said, purely from the way I positioned myself. Yeah, the opportunities out there for me it's almost endless right now. I flew on Air China from Dulles to China and Japan. From Dulles, and about $600 back in December 2019 vacation, just before the COVID pandemic hit. A good cheap airline to fly. Cool. Okay, I mean, do you find other military members, but not you, end up being discharged, being broke, and in debt after the Navy? Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's normal, right? It's not just because somebody's in the military doesn't mean they're going to be rich and successful, right? At the end of the day, it's the person, and it's military. It's not the vehicle. Like I could work at McDonald's for 5 years and I could still get to $100,000, right? But there's other people that could work at McDonald's, and I'm not knocking down McDonald's by any means, but I'm just giving that as an example. I could make minimum wage and still get to 100K. But there's people that make minimum wage and they go broke, right? Same thing with the military. Like, people come in the military. Some people find tremendous amount of success. Some people don't. And it's at the end of the day, it's about the person, right? where their mentality is at, what type of information they're consuming, what they define as, what they want to do, how they want, what makes them happy. And sometimes it just takes people a lot longer to realize, what they need to do with their finances, and that's okay. So, just because, you know, there's other people my age, right? I'm 28 right now. There's other people who are, millionaires at my age, but right now I'm just at 200K, and that's fine, right? It just takes me a lot longer for me to understand exactly what I need to do. Some people just got it faster, depending on what their situation, what their upbringing, what their environment was, right? So, my environment, this is what it allowed me to do. So, yeah. Can you pocket BH if you don't put it to use? Yeah, exactly what I was doing for about 9 months, when I was living in a 100 square room, renting it out. Um, if you see some of my other lives previously, that's kind of where I was. I was renting for $750 a month, and my current BH rate right now, it's for about $1,500. So I was pocketing for about $750 on a monthly basis. All right. Are there times you just want to go big, spending splurges just to treat yourself? We only live once after all. Too much that I really have a desire for. So I never really felt that. Um, like a spending splurge for me would be like replacing my phone because the screen's cracked, or replacing my laptop because the screen's cracked as well. Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a, materialistic desire to have like more stuff. Like there's nothing that I would really want other than, I guess, before I joined the military, I used to work at a watch store. So I understand watches to some degree. So eventually I'm gonna buy a Rolex. Um, Not because of like the desire to have a Rolex to flaunt my wealth, but it's like a way of investing your wealth. Because depending on the Rolex you get, like it can appreciate in value or depreciate in value, just like anything. And I appreciate like the craftsmanship of like watches because I've worked in the watch industry for about a year, repairing watches and all that kind of stuff. So um, that's the only like splurge I would do, or buying a Tesla for myself would be something that would be interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, other than that, that's it. But at the same time, going on vacations, like once a year, always go on some type of vacation. That's kind of my rule, and not focus on work or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I just normally do. But other than that, I mean, I don't have any desires for anything. Like if I had like a cardboard box to live in out in the streets, like I'd be perfectly happy with that. How did you find the room to rent before the Navy housing? I just went to Craigslist. I'm looking for a room to rent myself to save money on rent and live more frugally. Did you list Craigslist or another housing share website? Yeah, I just used Craigslist. Craigslist. Well, welcome to the people are coming in and out. Just another hangout session. Doing some work right now. At the same time, answering some questions. Hanging with me. Thank you for that. Um, like I said, this is just a casual hangout that I'm going to be doing Monday through Friday, every day, 6 p.m. If times aren't that great for you, right, depending on what's the most optimal, just feel free to let me know in the comment section down below and see, I don't know when the majority of my audience, what time works for them. But if like later on is like the most optimal time, I can always do it later on. So yeah. Is there a chow hall nearby over there? Nope. Do you like to consume fast food and soda yourself, or not that much? Yeah, I'm a big fast food guy. That's probably what contributed to my weight gain. But yep. What is the best time of the year to enlist? I would definitely actually let me write that down too. Happy Thursday, everybody, by the way. $40. All right. All right, so Gajik asks, what is the best time of the year to enlist? To go to boot camp, I would say fall, springtime is the best because the best case and the worst case scenario, right? The weather is kind of the biggest thing. Winter, obviously, in Illinois, is going to be pretty cold. The summers in Illinois, it's going to be hot. And when you're in boot camp, right, you're outside marching, going to places. And so that's kind of the last thing that you want to be stuck in hot weather or in extreme cold weather. When I went to boot camp, it was definitely in June, it was hot. At the same time, right after boot camp, I went to my A school, Meridian, Mississippi, as an LSA school. It's 2 months. Meridian, Mississippi, it's extremely hot over there during those times too. Not that it really matters because at the end of the day, it just kind of builds like memory. It's a good memory to have either way, depending on when you go. So in the big picture, it doesn't really matter, when you enlist, but for the weather's sake, right, enlisting in the and going for boot camp in the fall time or the springtime would kind of be the best. So yeah. And for the three of you guys that are watching the live stream, if you could hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate that. it helps support the YouTube algorithm. Are you working on any college degrees or certifications now, or will you be getting out of the Navy? I do have some certifications, um, but college degree, no, I don't really care about that. To really spend the time to go pursue a degree using tuition assistance right now, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like the opportunity cost for me is too great. The amount of things that I can actually learn from going to school from teachers who've never really built businesses or really done anything like that, it's not worth it. Um, so I'd rather just kind of learn from other mentors that I have now that are extremely successful and build my business that way. If somebody is too old to join the Navy or for any other reasons, do you think the next best thing to do in a Navy civilian job is a Navy civilian job? I heard benefits are very similar. Um, Being in the military, like the benefits are a lot better than like government contracting jobs, but it's still better than just normal job. So if somebody is like too old, I mean, the cutoff age for the Navy, I think is like 39. Um, so, I mean, you can still join at 39, from my understanding. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you can't join the Navy, right, just being a contractor, that's fine. But yeah, if you want to do a career wise, um, you want to be in the Navy, in the military. Zero, when you were in the Navy or in the military, what branch were you in? I am still active duty. Zero. I'm still serving in the Navy. I am in Patuxent River, Maryland. Is my location. What kind of certifications do you have? What field? Um, as a supply guy, I was able to do what's called US maps, where you input like 8,000 hours, 5,000 hours towards like a couple of certifications. I have like three or four. I think one's like store manager. So for example, like if I wanted to get out of the military and work at Walmart and be like a store manager or assistant manager, like that's going to help. If I wanted to work at like, let's say, the post office, right? I have like postal certification. Um, there's the retail cert. I think it's like computer operating certification, where like Word document, Excels, etc. Getting Excel certified in that. So I think yeah, there's like four. Doesn't really mean anything to me. I got it just for the fun of it, but I mean, it doesn't really mean anything to me. It may come in handy in the future if I wanted to get a job just for fun. Um, but yeah, if I plan on enlisting in the fall or spring, do you recommend getting in contact with a recruiter now, or wait until I am absolutely ready to go? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, let's say you go now, right? I mean, your recruiter is going to ask you like, when do you want to leave for boot camp? Um, Depending on the recruiter, they might like try to play you and say like, all right, you're gonna leave for boot camp like 2 months from now, get ready. But at the end of the day, like it's your choice when you want to leave for boot camp. Like you could go now, enlist, and you could say like, all right, I want to leave for boot camp next March or next February, whatever the case may be. And you think you could still do that, and that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's when you are ready to go, right? So if you're not ready to go, they can't force you to go. Do you think there's a good chance that you might regret leaving the Navy after 8 years? No, not at all. Thoughts on bonuses? Is there a catch? There is no catch to bonuses. The only catch is, let's say, my first 5 years ended, right, and I re-enlist for 3 years at a short command, right, and it's for, let's say, a $10,000 signing bonus, right? So that $10,000 is going to be taxed, and then instantly, right? So let's say it's going to be like, I don't know, like six grand afterwards. Just an example. That 6 grand is going to be split between your 3 years of your short command. So 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and that $2,000 is going to be divided into 12 months, right, within the year, and that's kind of the only catch. So let's say I got out early at, a year and a half into my short command, and I got out for, whatever reason. I'm not going to get the rest of that $10,000 enlistment bonus, re-enlistment bonus. So yeah, so there's some type of catch for bonuses, like you have to meet whatever the criteria that you decide to meet. So if, for example, like if you want to sign up to be a nuke, right? I mean, it's like, I don't know what the sign up bonus is. I think it's like it's 70 grand, 80 grand, or whatever the case may be. Like you have to do 6 years, right, as a nuke, right? If you go to A school and you get kicked out, you get dropped out, like you're not going to get that sign on bonus, right? Bummer, my French class on Zoom coincides with this soon. Hopefully to fully catch tomorrow. Not a problem at all, Anne. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do this every day, Monday through Friday. On weekends, I think I might not do one on Saturday, but I might do ones on I might not do one on Sunday, but I might do on Saturdays. For Saturdays, it's probably going to be at like noon Eastern time. At the same time, like I said, like I'm going to be sending out reminders to everybody, so not a problem at all. What state are you originally from? You, Pennsylvania? Are you in the same contract, or are you in the same one contract, Yoon, or are you in a second contract now? I am in my second contract to get to 8 years. Ever get any Navy bonuses yourself? No, unfortunately, no. So if I signed up, a little bit, earlier, there was a chance. It depends on the season, right? Sometimes they give bonuses to LSs for signing up. Sometimes they don't. I think I missed it by like a month. I missed the enlistment bonuses by a month. It was like 13 grand for signing up for 3 years, which I don't mind because I don't like to be handed that. For me to make 30 grand, I'd rather start from the bottom up and kind of get there instead of winning the lottery. So yeah, this is on my second contract. Thanks for answering my questions, Yoon. I'll try to stop by when I can. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by. Peace. 6 p.m. time is good time for me since I work evenings, Monday through Friday. Cool. So you have a night shift, is what I'm understanding. If the Navy could discharge you out tomorrow, would you leave about 2 years earlier or stay in? I would leave. Yeah, like I don't need to, I don't need to stay. Like it costs me more money to stay in the Navy, um, and work the Navy job full time, like 40 hours a week, because I could spend that on sales and make that kind of money back plus some more. So yeah, yeah. If I could get out of the Navy right now, easy. No hesitation there. But the reason why I am staying in is because it gives me a good time to taper off, like I said, transition out of the military, and start spending these next 2 years remaining to continue building my business, to get to a point. Because at the end of the day, like the long game is it's just that. Like for example, like when it comes to investing, so many people think like once I get to my first hundred, people with like a couple thousands or a couple hundreds of dollars, right? Think like, okay, when I get to my first, $100,000, I can do this full time, day trade, sell options, and make a living. Like that's not realistic. Like it just doesn't happen like that. The chances of that actually working out is slim to none. Um, and it's the same thing with the military. Like people think like, all right, I'm gonna finish out my 5 years and just kind of get out there and just kill it and make a living without actually having proven to build anything, right? It just doesn't work out. You have to have a taper off period, right? And that's exactly what this period is for me, to be in a short and have a lot of time. Um, well, Mr. Crips Jeff, sorry for that, but I'm gonna have to remove this comment. And so yeah, like always having like a taper off time is it's always good. So will you be 30 when your Navy contract ends? Yeah, I'll be just about 30 when my contract ends. Mr. Crypt Jeff, oh no is right. David, Yoon, how are you? I'm doing well, thanks. It's a pretty good day here in Maryland. Have you ever thought about IT or computer career, Yoon? Nope, not interested. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for stopping by. Like I said, in about 3 minutes, I'm going to be closing out this live. For those of you who are just joining in now, right, if you could do me a favor, press the like button. It would help me out tremendously. Do you plan on finding a wife? I already have a girlfriend, and I'm going to be settling down with her here pretty shortly. Yoon, you look more beef since I last saw you. No, I haven't been hitting the gym. I just got fat, man. And that's legit. Like when I joined the Navy, I was 175. Right now, 220. 6 foot in terms of height. I'm there. But no, what you're